Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Jackie if you're new here. I look like a potato, but we're gonna go with it because I need to film this video ASAP Rocky. So this will finally be my Kenya recap review video for my trip with EF Ultimate Break that I went on in September. I know it's been 2 months, but I'm finally getting around to it, so better late than never. I'm just gonna dive right in. I have my handy dandy iPad with all my notes. I tried something different and made notes while I was on tour so that I wasn't so scatterbrained when I got back like I have been for my previous recaps. So we're gonna see if this works better. As always, here's my little disclaimer that I am an EF Ultimate Break ambassador, and with that comes a link and code that you can use to get $100 off your first trip with them. So I'll put that down in the description. What you'll do is you'll press the link and that link will take you to the website, and then if the discount is not automatically applied when you're checking out, you'll have to insert the code, which is UAJacqueline100. I'll put it here and it's going to be down below, and that will apply the discount. And if that still doesn't apply the discount, make sure to reach out to me via email or Instagram or anywhere, maybe even down in the comments, and I can reach out to get that discount applied. But just want to make sure that everyone knows that that's an option. You can save your coin and get a little discount. However, even though I am an ambassador for EF Ultimate Break, I do want to say that I always give a honest review and recap. I'm not going to sugarcoat things just because I am an ambassador, because I'm not employed by them. They don't pay me. So I'm always going to be honest. I'm not going to sugarcoat things. I don't want you guys to book a trip and go on it and be like, she lied to me, it's terrible. So I'm always going to give you guys the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and my actual opinions on things. So yeah, just want to throw that out there as always. I always want to make sure that everyone is clear on that. But let's dive right into my flights. So I touched a little bit about this on my vlog, but I had flights from LAX to Chicago. I left LAX at 7 a.m. and landed in Chicago at 12:35ish, which was around 35 minutes earlier than we were supposed to land, which was great. I was boarding group 5. So I was getting a little worried that I was gonna have to check a bag at the gate because they were threatening it the whole time. They were like, if you're in groups 5 and 6, you're gonna have to check a bag, you're gonna have to check a bag. And then when I was in line to get on the flight, they were like, okay, we have space for like 10 more bags, but anything else is gonna have to get checked in. So here I was counting the bags in front of me, and I was like, okay, I should make it. I get to the guy and he's like, okay, we're gonna start checking bags. And I was like, does that mean mine as well? And he was like, you're good, go ahead. So my bag made it. I was very happy because I was doing carry-on only for this trip, and I did not want to risk my bag not getting there because it's the only bag I had. So yeah, very worried, but it made it on. The guy behind me though, he had to check his bag, so that was not fun, but at least it wasn't me. Anyways, then I had a layover in Chicago, and my next flight was from Chicago to Brussels. Didn't write down the times for these flights, but there was on-time boarding and departure, no delays. I had no issues with boarding my bag for this flight either. They weren't threatening to check any bags at the gate, so there was lots of space. This wasn't a full flight, so I had no one in my middle seat, which was chef's kiss, fantastic. Next, I had a layover in Brussels, and I was a little worried about this layover because it was about an hour, and I'm not familiar with the Brussels airport, didn't know how customs would work and all of that jazz. But once I get there, I realized that my flight was delayed an hour, which was great for me because I didn't have to stress anymore. But I had to take a shuttle bus thing from the terminal that I had landed in, I don't recall which terminal that was, to Terminal T, which is where all the Africa flights take off. So there was a bunch of people headed in the same direction. The signs were very clear. I was not confused at all. There was a little bit of a walk from where I got deplaned to the place where the shuttle to Terminal T was going to pick me up. But once I got there, luckily there was already a bus pulling up, so I didn't have to wait. A whole bunch of people got on. I was like running on because I did not want to get like left behind if it got too full. But luckily I got on immediately, and it was a quick shuttle to Terminal T, and I did not have to go into any customs or other security check from the time that I deplaned to the point where I got to the gate for my next flight to Kenya. So that was cool. I thought I would have to because it was a different country and I was going to Africa, but no checks. I got to my gate, and like I said, we were already delayed, so I waited there. There was no place to sit, so I will say I got to Terminal T, where all the Africa flights take off. And you know, when you think of your gate, you think of you get there and there's chairs and you wait outside until they're bored, right? So this one was a little different. This airport was a little different. So you had to wait outside of your gate, and then they checked your like passport and stuff to get into the gate. So they wouldn't even let us go into the gate area until like we were about to board already. So we had to wait outside, and there wasn't much seating on the outside of the gate. I don't know if that makes sense, but there was no seating, and I was sitting on the floor for a couple hours, but that's fine. And then there were a couple other people from my group that had this layover in Brussels, and then we were on the same flight to Nairobi. So we did meet up, and I got to meet a few of them, which is great. I always love when that happens. They start boarding our Nairobi flight, and to get into the gate area, like I said, we have to get our passport checked and boarding pass and visa and all of that in order to get into the gate area. So they check that. There's a huge line. Anyways, we get in. They start boarding, and you know, we're accustomed to boarding groups, like having my boarding group called and I go. And I did have a boarding group assigned on my boarding pass, so that's what I thought was going to happen. They don't announce that boarding started, but you just see people free-for-all going in. So boarding started. There were no announcements, no boarding groups, no nothing. Everyone was a free-for-all going in to the plane, but whatever, I guess that worked. It was different for sure. Lastly, the biggest issue that I had with flights, on my way there at least, was nothing wrong with the flights themselves. Everything went smoothly, but customs when you land in Nairobi is an absolute disaster, hot mess, not fun time. So you get there, you deplane on the tarmac, so you don't go into a little tunnel. No, you like the stairs down to the tarmac. We got onto shuttles, and then they shuttle us to where we're going to go through customs. No line, just a big blob of people everywhere. There is a section for people that are Kenyan and or have African passports, I believe, and they're off to the side, but everything else and the vast majority of everyone that's there is not into that section. So everyone is just waiting in this big blob, no end in sight to these lines, and it just took forever. We stood in line for over 2 hours, and it was just annoying because, like, since there was no organization, people were pushing, and anytime they saw one side of the blob move, everyone would like rush to try to get ahead and go to that side, and then this side would move and everyone would rush this way. So it was just not a fun time at all. We ended up at the end of the big blob. I don't know how, because we were somewhere in the middle, and all of a sudden once we got towards the front, there was like no one behind us. So yeah, not a fun time, but we made it through. We got to the hotel, had some food, and then knocked out. All right, so that was my flight path on the way there. My flight back home, I had one less layover than I did on the way there. I had a flight from Nairobi to Frankfurt. Departed from Nairobi at 11:10 p.m. so like really late. Then I had a very short layover in Frankfurt. I believe it was like an hour and a half. No issues with that. My plane departed on time from Frankfurt to LAX, and so I sat down on my flight to LAX. It's pretty packed, like all the seats around me are taken. I like am trying to get sound on the entertainment system, and I thought it was just my like AirFly Duo thing not connecting to my Bluetooth headphones. So I was like, maybe I'll have to use the airplane headphones that they supply. So the lady comes around, she gives me my headphones. I'm connecting it, disconnecting it, connecting it, disconnecting it. It's not working. And the lady comes up to me, she's like, oh, I realized that this seat is having an issue with the entertainment system. I've restarted it, but let me know if it doesn't work. Great, so the system resets. Trying again, try my AirFly Duo, nothing. Try the headphones from the airplane, nothing. So the lady comes around again, I'm like, yeah, it's not working. And she's like, okay, we're gonna have to move you. And I was like, I have an aisle seat, and if there's not another aisle seat available, I will happily sit here with no entertainment for the entire flight. And she was like, this is a really long flight, are you sure? And I was like, yeah, I'm not willing to sit in a middle seat just to have entertainment. So that's that. And she was like, let me check, let me see what I can do. She goes away. I'm panicking because I'm like, what am I gonna do if I don't have this entertainment system for this like 14 hour flight? And she comes back, she's like, I found you another aisle seat. And I was like, oh wait, next issue is, will there be room for my bag wherever this new seat is? Because it's like towards the front of the plane. And she's like, yes, there is. I grab my bag, go to the new seat, sit down. It's an aisle seat, it's great, it's closer to the front, and the entertainment system works. We are all happy campers. And yeah, so that was great. I have global entry, so I got back to LAX, went through the global entry, but you know how usually like global entry, you go through the little kiosk and it tells you, all right, you're all set, go ahead. So I went to the kiosk and mine said, go see a TSA attendant or whatever it said, go see someone, right? So I'm like, that's weird. Anyway, I go to the front and I'm like, oh, it told me to come see you. And he was like, did you get a new passport? And I was like, actually I did. He's like, and then I'm assuming you didn't update your global entry. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that I had to do that. So heads up, if you have global entry and you got a new passport, update the information in the portal, because I don't know why I didn't think that through. I didn't think that was a thing, but it is. So I updated my stuff and I should be good for my next trip. But yeah, that's all my flight stuff. Everything went smoothly, really no big complaints. A little bit of hiccups here and there, but nothing major, nothing as big as my Spain trip. If you know, you know. So yeah, good stuff. Next, I'll touch on the group dynamic. Unlike my Greece trip, everyone on this trip was solo travelers pretty much. There were 15 of us, 5 people per Jeep. I will say, choose your Jeep mates wisely, because once you're set in your Jeep, there's no really switching unless there's like a big issue that you can talk to your tour director about. But the first night we kind of noticed that people were grouping up a little bit, like, oh, do you want to be in our Jeep? And so like the people we had originally thought about asking were already being asked by other people. So we're like, okay. The first actual night of the trip, we were at the hotel bar, all chilling, getting to know each other, and we realized that we were really vibing with the 3 guys that are on our trip, and they were so chill, so cool, laid back. And we're like, there's 2 of us, there's 3 of them, let's ask them if they want to be in our Jeep. So we did, and that ended up being the best decision that we made, because other Jeeps were having like little bickering and like drama and things that we kept hearing about. In ours, we were like, we're chilling, we're like the best group dynamic that we could ever have. We have achieved. We have the main tour director as our driver, which is amazing because he's doing the most to make sure that we have the best experience possible. Like, I could not have been happier with how that worked out. And shout out to Jeep 1, the alcoholics of the group. We always had beers and ciders on deck. We watched The Lion King, we listened to the Lion King soundtrack, we had music going on. It was just such a great group, and I'm so happy that I ended up with them and that it all worked out really well. So group dynamic was great. Choose your Jeep mates wisely is my biggest tip. Moving into accommodations, the accommodations for this trip were the best out of any other EF trip I've had so far. I have full room tours in my vlog, that if you want to go check that out. But just to touch briefly on things I liked and didn't like about each one. The first one we had in Nairobi was Best Western Westlands. This one was really nice, really standard hotel that you would think of. It had like 11 floors, and on the 11th floor was a rooftop bar, which was great. I really love this bar, and their drinks were really good and reasonably priced. We chilled there a lot. Their restaurant area was like a buffet, and so we had that the night that we arrived, like when we arrived super late from the airport. We had food from there, and then we had breakfast there, and this is where our welcome dinner was as well. Food was always decent, like no big complaints. It was good. So yeah, that place was nice. You had 2 twin beds, the rooms were updated, the bathroom was clean, like everything was nice, so that was cool. Then when we went to Amboseli, we stayed at Otokai Lodge. This one was my absolute favorite place that I've stayed at for any of the EF trips that I've been on. So yeah, big fan of this place. The rooms were like kind of like little bungalow type places, like standalone houses, and each kind of standalone place, had like maybe like 3 rooms in it. So you had your own little room, 2 beds, a mosquito net, nice big fan that worked really well. Nice bathroom that had a view to the outside. The views at this place, like I looked outside from our like front window and saw zebras and like buffaloes in the morning, and like it was amazing. But I will say, you're in the middle of the wild, so there were monkeys all over the place, and like these monkeys are so accustomed to people, like they were not scared of you, kind of, sort of. So as long as you like didn't pay attention to them, they moved out of your way. They did not try to come at you or anything, but if you had something in your hand, they would take it and they would try to get into your room. So you had to make sure there was no monkeys around you when you're like opening the door and closing the door, because it's like an actual key that you have to like turn and all of that. So, and to lock the door, you had to put the key in on the inside and lock it that way as well. We get to our room for the very first time. We're unpacking to go back to go to lunch, to go on our first game drive. So like that was the plan. We get to our room, no issues. The lady had walked us, because at these places, like, you don't touch your luggage once you get there. There's always someone taking your luggage to your room, taking your luggage back when you're leaving. It's great. You feel like a princess. So the lady took us to our room, no issues. There were monkeys here and there, but we made it no issues. We get to our room, we unpack. I had Pringles and I didn't even think, but I put them on the table that's by the window. We noticed that there was like a bunch of monkeys just outside of our window, and we were like, oh, that's weird. Like, why are they all standing outside of our room? Like, weird. I hadn't realized, like, I didn't put 2 and 2 together that it was my freaking Pringles. But yeah, there was a bunch of monkeys, like 3 or 4, chilling on our porch, because on the porch there's like 2 chairs and a little table, and it's like really cute setup. So they're like chilling there, like staring into our room. We're like, interesting, how are we gonna get out of here? And I was like, oh, well, they said like as long as you don't bug them and mess with them or have anything that they want, they'll go away from you when you go near them. So I was like, maybe when we open the door, they'll all scatter and like let us get out of here, right? So Vanessa tries to open the door and this monkey freaking charges at us, like trying to get into our room. Vanessa slams the door and we lock it, and we're like, oh, so they're not gonna leave us alone. What do we do? So I'm looking out the window trying to see if like they ever leave and like give us a chance to like run out, but no, they're staying put. They're staring at us. One of them comes like on the ledge of our window. I wish I had a video of this, but Vanessa like tries to scare it away and like hits the window. It's like, psh, go away, you know. This guy knocks back on the window back at us, and we're like, oh, they're not leaving. So we panic. We call the front desk and we were like, these monkeys aren't letting us leave our room. What do we do? And they're like, oh, don't worry, this happens. We're gonna send someone. We're there waiting. It's a little while and we're hungry at this point. We want to go to lunch. We see our friend walking. He's going to lunch. We were like, hey, like, can you scare these monkeys away? And he was like, yeah, sure. So he like kind of walks up to the monkeys and tries to scare them away. They do scatter, and he's like, all right, you guys got to go now. Like, this one's around the corner, but you have a chance. Get out of your room now. So we did. We got out, we locked the door, and we walked to lunch with our hands in our pocket, heads down. No monkeys came to us. No one bothered us. But it was just the funniest situation. We told our tour director and like other people in our group, and they were like, there's no way the monkeys charged at you. Like, there's no way that the monkeys weren't scared of you and like left you alone. Like, if only I had recorded it so you guys would believe us. But yeah, beware of monkeys. Lock your rooms quickly. There were other girls in our group that had a monkey go into their room and they had to like shoo it out. So it does happen. It happens, but just be aware of that. This place, like I said, really good view from your room. There's also a pool there that we chilled in for a little bit, and the view from the pool, like, you're literally right next to this fence and the animals are right on the other side of the fence. So it's freaking amazing. There's a bar there and they had drinks that were reasonably priced again, and they actually bring you drinks to the pool, which was nice. Food here was 10 out of 10. They had like omelet stations in the morning and pasta stations at night, and like the buffet was always pop in with amazing options. So really like this place. And this place at night, a lot of people just like chill by the bar. There was live music some nights, and like it was just like a chill vibe that people were like chilling outside and like socializing. But there was a campfire, so we all sat around the campfire one night with drinks and like talked and told stories, and that was really cool. So yeah, this place was my absolute favorite. In the morning we had a cool view of Kilimanjaro, and like the sunrise was beautiful, and it was just like, no words will ever do this place justice. It was amazing. 10 out of 10. The next place though, in stark contrast, Lake Naivasha Crescent Camp. I was not a fan at all. Others did have nicer rooms than us, but the tent that we got assigned was just not it. This was like an actual tent. Still had the hard floors and like bathroom and things like that, but it was more tent vibes. There was still beds, there was still nets, but I don't know, it didn't give me, coming from a really bougie place like Oltukai Lodge to this was just like, ooh, what is happening? But it was right on the lake, so when we did our boat safari, it was like the boats are right there, we just had to walk to them. At night, hippos come up onto the campground and like graze, so you did have to be careful and like keep an eye out for them at night. I never went out at night, but yeah, that was a thing. The bar, there was a bar. It was super small though. It was like 4 chairs maybe. We did take over the entire bar and like have drinks and stuff. They did have buffet for dinner and breakfast and lunch and all of that, but options weren't as great. Wasn't my favorite. Food was okay. I ate it, but not my favorite compared to the other places. And besides the boat safari, there was nothing else to do in this location, and it just felt like a waste of time compared to all the other stuff we did. So yeah, not my favorite place out of all of them. And lastly, in the Masai Mara, we stayed at the Pride Inn. This place was bougie. Their bar area and like dinner area was like really nice, and the setup was really nice. They, again, always take your bags to your room. The rooms were like really nice and big. They're tents, but they were like huge. There are different types of tents that you can get. So ours was one of the nicer ones, and other people had like tents that they had to zip up type thing, but ours was, it had a door. The bathroom was really nice. It had a indoor shower and outdoor shower. We didn't use the outdoor shower, but it was there. It was an option. And to get to this hotel, you have to like cross this bridge, and the bridge goes over like a gorge area, and at night like animals are actually in that gorge or on the other side of the gorge. We saw a giraffe at night, and we were like flashing a flashlight to see it, which was really cool, and like you can hear the animals, and it was just amazing. Like you actually felt like you were in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the wild. So it was amazing. At dinner, the local tribe came and like provided entertainment and like sang songs and danced and like involved people into the entertainment, which was great to see. It was fun, and we did chill at the bar for especially the last night, but the bar was nice and it had good drinks. What else about this area? Yeah, nothing else. It was really nice. My second favorite for sure, but nothing will ever beat Oltukai. I freaking love that place. And that's about it for accommodations. All right, next, since I didn't do a packing video for this trip, and packing and outfits were my biggest concern before I left, I did want to do an outfit section where I kind of talk about the outfits I wore and the things I took. I'll insert pictures because I'm not going to show you, like hold up my outfits and whatnot, so I'll just put pictures. I hope I have pictures of every day. I'm just going to reference them on my phone and hope that I have pictures of every day. But yeah, first day I flew in, didn't wear anything special. I'm pretty sure I wore sweats and a jacket. Got there first day, I wore this tank top, actually, this tan tank top, and brown pants that I got from Shein. I'll insert a picture here. And then I wore my Birks, and that was perfect. It was a tour of markets and stuff that day, so pretty casual. You can wear whatever you wanted, but I kept all my outfits to like neutral colors that they suggested in the Know Before You Go guide. So yeah, that was my first outfit. Day 2, oh no, that night we had our welcome dinner. I didn't take any pictures, but I changed into like a floral casual dress. Some people stayed in the same outfit they wore all day. It's up to you. Like I said, the welcome dinner is at the hotel, so it's like not a big deal what you wear, but I did change because I'm extra. Next day, I wore a set that I found from Marshall's. This tan set, insert picture here. It's a skirt and like a crop top. I loved this outfit, and then I wore my Birks, and yeah, that's what I wore on safari. It was comfy. I can sit in it for long periods of time. I wore my Birks because I can take them off and then stand on the seat, because to stand on the seat, they didn't want us to have shoes, obviously, so we don't ruin the Jeep. But yeah, So that was just a super easy outfit to put together and wear, and I really enjoyed this outfit. Then the next day, I wore that outfit all day and night, and then the next day I wore these khaki slacks from Zara, and then the striped shirt from Shein, and then my Birks again. I think I wore my Birks like every day. Then in my hair, as an added accessory, I have a bunch of these like scrunchies that have the ribbon on it, so I had my hair up exactly like this and put this in it so it looked like a little bow. So cute accessories that are quick and easy and you don't really have to think of. So that was that day. I wore that all day. So this day I had like a morning game drive, then we had free time, then I had a night-ish game drive. So I wore that in the morning, then during our free time we went swimming, so I changed it to my bathing suit, and then I put that same outfit back on for the evening game drive. So that was that. The next day, onto Lake Naivasha. I didn't get a good pic of this outfit, but I wanted to be comfy and I didn't really care about this day because I knew it was just a boat safari and I wouldn't get that many pictures. So I wore these like brownish shorts from Shein, comfy, and a white long sleeve that I also got from Shein, and then a tan jacket that's also from Shein, and my Birks, always my Birks. And again, this day I had another one of these scrunchies in my hair, but it was like a dark brown color. So yeah, that was that day. I wore that all day, didn't change. The next day, first day in Masai Mara, I wore a dress. I didn't take any good pictures with it, but I did get this picture. A dress, and I wore a belt just to give myself some definition, because otherwise it's just like a plain boxy dress. So, and my brown Birks, as always. So that was that outfit. Let's see, what else did I wear? I wore that outfit all day and all night, didn't change. The next day was my absolute favorite outfit. It was this green jumpsuit that I found on Shein. I planned to wear it with my Birks, but I had to wear closed-toed shoes for the hot air balloon, sadly. So I wore my Adidas, my Sambas, so that was that. And then I found this like brown orangey neutral colored scarf on Shein, and I tied it around my neck for a cute accessory. I think that it just gave me like safari vibes, so that's what I was going for. Really loved this outfit, really got a lot of compliments on it, and I enjoyed it. And then the last day is just like a free time day, so you can wear whatever. Pretty sure I either re-wore something or I wore jean shorts and like a top, and then I changed into my leggings and stuff for the flight. But yeah, those were my outfits, just to give you like a better little idea into what kind of stuff to pack. And yeah, now let's get into the itinerary. So I'm gonna try to keep this as simple as possible. I always yap in this section and it takes me forever, but I think I can keep it sweet and to the point. So day one, this was the day like after you land and whatnot, because you know you land like 11:30 or midnight or even later. So yeah, you just sleep when you get there. And the next day we had breakfast from 6:30. It started at 6:30, and you can eat at any time, but you had to be ready and already have eaten and all that by 9:30, because at 9:30 we had a meeting about the trip overview, and this is where he gave us kind of like a little rundown of what was going to happen, how everything was going to work, how we were going to break up into groups, the safaris we were going to have, and all of that jazz. Just like a little safety briefing type thing. After that meeting, we drove to Kobe Tough, which was where we got to see beads and how they made those, like bracelets and necklaces and earrings and all of that jazz by hand. And so we got to see that process and a little bit of the history of all that. And then there was also a leather making area, which they just walked us through. That wasn't as detailed as the bead making stuff, but it was cool to see. Then we had free time in the gift shop, and this gift shop, I don't know what I expected, but it wasn't cheap. I understand that everything there is handmade, so like it made sense after seeing the process and all that, but I was also a little sticker shocked, and I think everyone in my group was like, they were all like, oh, each bracelet is like 27 bucks. So just keep that in mind. Everyone did spend a lot of money here because the stuff was really nice, and so yeah, just be ready to spend some money at that gift shop. Then we drove to a leather and glass place, but the glass shop was closed. I think it was like a Sunday, so the glass shop was closed, so we didn't get a glass blowing demonstration or any of that. But we did get to see the leather leather making area and the leather factory side of the stuff. So that was cool. Then we drove, sorry, my lashes are on their last limb, so they're like all up in my eye. Then we drove to lunch, which was at the Tamarind Brasserie. I hope I say that correctly, but I'll put the name like right here. And this lunch was so good. Like, it set the bar so high for all the other food we were gonna have on this trip. It was a buffet, but there was just like so many options. I know one of them was like calamari shrimp thing on a stick, and it was just so good. So first you start with like a chicken and corn soup. That's, everyone gets that. That was just like the appetizer, and water and juice were included, but if you wanted to get any other like alcoholic beverages or like smoothies and stuff like that, you had to just pay for that extra. So I did get a cider, and it was like 700 shillings. And then, like I said, there was so many options at the buffet. I got up multiple times. There was a lot of dessert options. They had literal grills going, like pasta stations, like unreal. Everything you could wish for and more. And then we returned to the hotel for free time before our welcome dinner. We didn't do anything. The only thing to really do in the area, and we didn't have that long, was like a mall. So some people did go to the mall. I think I just went to take a nap, if I remember correctly. But yeah, and then we got ready for the welcome dinner, which was at 7:30. Oh yes, this is where I wrote. So we got back to the hotel, and we saw that there was a sign for a happy hour that occurred from 5 to 8. I think it's like buy one get one drinks or something of that sort. And that's what we had planned to do. We were like, let's meet at 5 before our welcome dinner and have drinks and whatnot. I napped all the way up to our welcome dinner at 7:30. So some people did go up to the bar. Some people went to the mall that was down the street. Like, it was free time, so you could do whatever you wanted. Welcome dinner was a buffet at the hotel, and we got 2 wines or beers of whatever you wanted. Obviously there was non-alcoholic beverages too if you wanted that. And then we ended the night at the hotel's rooftop bar. Like I said, the drinks here were really good and reasonably priced. A general idea, Vanessa and I had 4 drinks each, and it was like their classic kawa drink. It's like their Kenyan drink. It has honey, and it's just like really good. But yeah, we had 4 of those each, and then 2 shots, and we paid like 40 bucks combined. So great. And then we went to bed. That was like the busiest day of the tour, I might say. So day 2, we had to be up ready and have had breakfast by 7:45 because we were going to be out on the road to Amboseli at 8 because it was like a 5-hour drive. So we had to get out early. We arrived at Amboseli at the Oltukai Lodge. Like I said, they took our stuff to our rooms. We got to just like settle in for a bit and then just went straight to lunch. That's when we got attacked by monkeys, but that's besides the point. Then we had free time to settle in until the game drive at 4. Then we had a game drive from 4 to 6:30. Then we came back and had dinner. Dinner was at 7:30. And like I said, dinner at this place was amazing. It was a buffet. They had all sorts of stations and options and stuff. I loved it. And then we sat around the campfire for a bit with some drinks and then went to bed. Day 3, still at Amboseli. We had breakfast starting at 6, and then we were leaving on our game drive at 7, so you just had to be up, ready, and have had breakfast by 7. We went out on our game drive 7 a.m. and came back to the hotel around noonish. Then we had lunch, and this is the day we had free time between game drives. So our original plan was to get a massage because this hotel offered massages. So when we got back from our game drive at noon, we went to the front desk and we were like, oh, do you have any availability? And they did have availability, but none that worked for us because we had an afternoon game drive. So if we had had like free time the rest of the day, it would have worked out, but we didn't want to miss that second game drive. So we were like, oh, it's okay. So we went to the pool instead. This is the day we went swimming. All of us, basically every single person in our group, did the same thing. We went to the pool, chilled a bit, had drinks, and then went to get ready again for the next game drive. That was at 4 p.m. And then we came back around 6:45, had dinner, and went to bed that day. We didn't do campfire that night. Day 4, this was the day we were leaving for the lake. So we had breakfast starting at 6 a.m., but we were leaving at 6:30 sharp. So this day was a early wake-up call because you had to be up, ready, and out of your rooms and already have had breakfast by 6:30 sharp because we were leaving. And this was a long drive. It was like a 6-7 hour drive from Amboseli to Lake Naivasha. And we arrived and had lunch. And then we got to chill a little bit until our boat safari at 3. There was, like I said, nothing else to do in this area, so you kind of just sat around in your rooms or talked and stuff like that. So we went to our boat safari at 3, came back, and then sat at the bar until dinner at 7:30. Then after dinner, we literally just sat at our dinner table for a bit and then went to bed because, like I said, there was nothing to do here. And my biggest complaint with this trip is this Lake Naivasha stop. I feel like it was just a waste of time compared to everything else that we did. Was that was so amazing. You already drive like 6-7 hours to get to Lake Naivasha just for this hour-long boat ride, where honestly it was a little underwhelming. Yes, we saw hippos, yes, there were cool birds and whatnot, but I saw so much cooler stuff on the actual other game drives. So like, if they can do away with this Lake Naivasha stop and add a day either in Amboseli or Masai Mara, probably Masai Mara honestly, the trip would be absolutely perfection. But this Lake Naivasha stop is the one downfall to it, honestly, but it's whatever. Day 5, we had breakfast starting at 6:30, and then you can go anytime, but we were leaving at 8 a.m. and this is the day we were driving to Masai Mara. It was a 5-hour drive, and then there was a shopping stop in between, and honestly that shopping stop was expensive. Everything was so overpriced, but it was like the last kind of stop of the trip for shopping, so everyone was like scrambling to buy stuff just to have stuff. And yeah, very overpriced. I got t-shirts for like 30 bucks each, and that was after haggling. So maybe try to shop beforehand, maybe at the gift shop in Amboseli or on the free day on the first day, but that stop on the way to Masai Mara was pricey, so just keep that in mind. We arrived at Masai Mara around 1ish. We checked in, had lunch, got our rooms and all of that jazz, and then we had a game drive at 4, dinner at 7:30, kind of the same schedule as Amboseli. And then there was a show. Like I said, the local tribe comes and shows us their dances and songs and all of that, so that started around 8ish, so it was perfect. Like, we sat down for dinner at 7:30, 8, and then the show started and had something to do. There was also a campfire at this place if you wanted to sit and like chill for a bit. The bar was nice, like I said. So that was day 5. Day 6 was the day with the earliest wake-up call, because it was the hot air balloon day and you want to go see sunrise, obviously. So our wake-up call was 5:45, and we needed to be out and ready by 5:15. So yeah, very early morning. Then we had a 40-ish minute drive to the launch site of the hot air balloon, and then the hot air balloon itself is like an hour. When you land from the hot air balloon, the jeeps pick you up again and they take you to their breakfast spot, and it was so cool. Like, they had this whole lunch brunch set up. It was like 4 or 5 tables full of people, like different groups. Our group had our own table all together. There was a buffet of different options, omelet station, meats and eggs and toast, and just like a whole bunch of options. Bottomless mimosas. You can also get Bloody Marys, but they weren't served at your table. You had to get up and get them, but they were included if you wanted them. And yeah, this was just a good time. And this is where the guy that drove your hot air balloon is signing certificates that say that you flew on a hot air balloon. And so that was a really cool experience, honestly. And then you're in the middle of the wild, like literal in the middle of the African desert. Like, it's a crazy thought looking back, but you felt so safe when you were there, and like there was a lot of people like watching out to see if anything was coming near us and whatnot. But that's when our EF drivers and tour guides came to pick us up at this brunch, and then we went on a actual game drive until 3ish. We went back to the hotel, and then we took a walk to the tribe visit, which is one of the EF offered excursions on this trip. The tribe was a walking distance from our hotel, so we just walked there, and that was at, I'm not sure if I said it, but that was at 4:30. We get there and they welcome us with songs and dancing and jumping, and then they walk us in to their village and give us a little rundown. They show us how they make fire, and they explain how their houses are made and how their lives work, basically. And then you get split up into smaller groups, and they take you into the houses and you get to see how they live. And it was a very crazy thing to see with my own eyes, like the difference in our lives, and like that's normal to them, you know. It was just amazing, and I love that sort of thing. I love seeing, like, I like these like cultural experiences, and it was amazing. After they show you their houses and talk a little bit more about their lives, they take you to this little, they almost set up like a little market of their own goods. The women make goods and like sell them. So they have all these tables set up in like a round area, and you get to walk around and buy and shop and stuff like that. So it was just really cool, the whole experience. I'm really glad I booked that excursion. I definitely would if you're going on this trip. If you're going on this trip, book everything. Like, all of it was great. Just book everything. If in the future this Lake Naivasha stop is optional or they take it out, don't choose to do it. If they take it out, be happy, because it's probably for the best. It really is. Then we walked back from the tribe village visit, and we had free time for a little bit, and then dinner was at 7 that night. This was our farewell dinner, so it was a bush dinner is what they describe it. So we walked there. It's on the hotel grounds still, but it's just like a little, not in the main dining area that we were eating at the other nights. So we walked there, and it was just like a nice setup. It was just us. It was outdoors. There was a fire, lots of drink options, lots of food. There's like a grill, and they were grilling things, lots of options, and it was just really, really nice. And I could not have imagined a better farewell dinner. You're under the stars, and then if you do need to go to the restroom, you need to take, one of the tribe people need to take you, because there could literally be animals roaming around. So that was a crazy thought, but I really loved that dinner. The food was good, and I almost cried. I think I did cry, actually. Like, that's when our tour directors kind of said like they were thankful for us and we were like their favorite group, and I feel like they say that to everybody. It was really nice, and we gave speeches. Not everyone, but a few people gave speeches and thanks to our tour directors. And yeah, that was our farewell dinner. Then we all walked back to the bar and were there for hours having drinks and chilling with our tour directors and laughing and telling stories and talking about life and what we're gonna do when we get back and our next couple trips and yada yada yada. You know, the end of every trip, how it goes. But yeah, it was fun. It was nice to have this area. It's not that the bar was closed off to everyone, but we were the only ones at the bar, so it was really nice to have like our group time. So I really enjoyed that. The next day, breakfast started at 6:30. You can go anytime after that, but you had to be out, ready, and have eaten by 8 a.m. because we were leaving at 8 to drive back to Nairobi. Around 2.5 hours in, we stopped at a supermarket to get snacks and bathroom and all of that jazz. And then we got to Nairobi, our hotel in Nairobi, around 1:45. So on this last day, you drive back to Nairobi, and this is departure day. So you go back to the first hotel, the Best Western Westlands, and they give you a day room. So this day room can be used to like store your stuff, so that you have a place to shower before heading out to the airport, so that you have a place to nap if you wanted to, so you have a place to change. So that was really nice to have that option. I like wouldn't have thought of it otherwise. So that's included in your trip. You get a day room at the Best Western when you return back to Nairobi on that last day. So we got there around 1:45 and they gave us our rooms for the day. So when we had arrived, we booked massages for 4 p.m. and it was originally just me and Vanessa, but other people joined and there was like 4 of us, and it was great. They told us all to go at the same time, so we all booked for 4. I don't know why they had us all go at the same time. Maybe they assumed we wanted to go as a group, but yeah, they had us all go at 4. Since we had a couple hours between our check-in and the massages, Vanessa and I went to the mall and just kind of walked around and went to see if there were any like souvenirs, but there wasn't really much. That mall's not the greatest thing, but we did have lunch there in their food court, which was nice. I had Chinese food, I'm pretty sure, which is so random. We came back ready for our massages, and that's when they told us that they got pushed to 4:30. Whatever, that was just 30 minutes. We go to the massage place at 4:30 and they tell us they're not ready, which, okay, fine. that's all right, but you already pushed our massage thing 30 minutes, so like, why aren't you ready? Anyway, whatever. We're sitting in the waiting room and they asked if 2 of us would get massaged and the 2 other people would go to the sauna and then get massaged after, but we didn't have that much time. We had planned to meet at 5:30 at the hotel bar for our last drinks and goodbyes before heading to the airport. So we didn't have that much time. So we're like, that's not gonna work for us. It's okay. We don't need massages. Let's just go. And they were like, oh, no, don't leave. Don't leave. Let me see what we can do. We'll massage all for you. And we're like, okay. We're sitting there for another 20 minutes. And then we were like, all right, we're not even gonna have enough time for these hour-long massages. Can we just get 30-minute massages? The lady's like, okay, let me see what I can do. Let me see what I can do. She goes back and we wait like another 10-15 minutes and we're like, all right, that's it. Like, we can't, thank you, but no. So we walked out and I felt kind of bad because maybe they were prepping for 4 of us when we were waiting, but like, what took so long? Like, we didn't have that much time. So we didn't end up getting massages. And we went back and met everyone at the hotel bar instead and had drinks, said bye. This is where we gave our tour directors their tips and all of that. And then at 6:30, we had to be checked out of our day rooms and we left for the airport. And then everyone got taken to the airport at once, which is different than usual EF trips, because on other trips, it's usually in groups, like, oh, all these people that are leaving at this time are leaving together and all these people that are leaving at this time are leaving together. But everyone just went at once because everyone's flights ranged from like 10:30 p.m. to 1:30 a.m. So it was like kind of sort of near. But we got to the airport, said goodbye. And I hadn't bought many souvenirs. Like, I needed stuff for my brother and my dad still. So I bought souvenirs at the airport, which was nice. Then I got to sit at the gate until my flight and made it home with no issue, like I've already explained. So that was the itinerary for Kenya. Let's talk a little bit about the prep that you need to do for this trip, because it is a little bit different. There are some requirements that you have to meet before going. First and foremost, there is a visa requirement for traveling to Kenya. I waited till I had the information I needed. So like 30 days out from your trip, EF will release your accommodation and flight information, and you need that stuff to fill out the visa application. So 30 days out from my trip is when I applied, and I got approved within 24 hours. It was less than that, but within 24 hours I was approved. I saved the visa to my wallet in my phone and I was good to go. So it's a pretty easy process. There's a link that will be provided to you about where to go apply for that visa. I think it was like $40 something if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but it's not a crazy amount to apply for the visa. You get it pretty quickly, you get approved pretty quickly, and you're good to go. Another thing, there are a few vaccines and medications that are recommended for this trip. Some people went to their local like health clinics, travel clinics, whatnot. So I have Kaiser, so everything is kind of done under Kaiser. So I had a phone appointment with a travel nurse, and she asked me a few questions, like where I was going, what I was doing in each section, like cities in Kenya that I was going to, how long I was going to be there, blah blah blah, so that she can recommend which vaccines and which medications that I should be getting. So I did that. I was leaving for my trip September 6th, and July 12th is when I had my like phone call appointment. I don't think you have to do this so early, but I just was stressing about this component and wanted to get it out of the way. So I had my phone appointment with the travel nurse on July 12th. Let me see if I can access the notes to see exactly what she recommended, because I honestly don't remember everything. Okay, so she recommended I get typhoid vaccine, yellow fever, polio, and diarrhea medication, and malaria pills. So that was all that she recommended. The reason she recommended polio though was because I was already behind on what I should have already had. So that's probably not one of the options that normal person would get, because you'll probably already be up to date with that. But she did recommend it because I was already behind. So in our group chat, people were talking about these vaccines and what was required and what was recommended and prices and all of that. And there were some people saying that they weren't going to get any vaccines. There were some people like me saying that I was going to get everything that was recommended. And others were talking about the prices. So some people spent around $400 for this yellow fever vaccine. But I don't know if Kaiser's just a great insurance or what went on, but I paid like $12 total for everything. And that's because all my vaccines were free. I didn't pay a single dime for my vaccines. And I just paid the 12 bucks for like an over-the-counter diarrhea medication. So my malaria pills were free. I got 2 different diarrhea medications. The over-the-counter one was the one I paid 12 bucks for, and then the other one was free. So it was just like crazy, the difference. Like when I told people on my trip like when we were there, that I paid 12 bucks total. They were in awe. So make sure to research different options of places to get yellow fever or typhoid or whatever vaccines you need and the medication, because the prices that I heard that people paid was insane. So I don't know if that's like a normal thing. I guess it is a normal thing because multiple people paid that amount, but like, that's crazy. So yeah, just do your research and try to find the best option for you. Do what you want to do. But I got everything that they recommended me, and I paid like 12 bucks. So good stuff. That's all I did to prep for this trip. Malaria pills, you take them like the 2 days before you leave, every day that you're on the trip, and then 7 days when you return. So that's what I did, and didn't get sick or anything. So all right, so that's basically my review recap of this trip. I loved this trip. It was my favorite so far, and I didn't expect that to be the case because I'm not very outdoorsy. Like, I'm very much a city girl. I really like going out to drink and dancing and shopping. So I didn't know how much I would enjoy the game drives and like looking at animals all day and that sort of thing, but I absolutely loved it. It didn't feel real half of the time. Like, what do you mean an elephant is right there drinking water? Like, it was just insane. I really loved it. I recommend this trip to everyone, and if there's one trip that you do with EF Ultimate Break, let it be Kenya, because it was just amazing. Some tips: bring binoculars. They came in so handy, and my friend had like tiny ones, like little travel size binoculars. Maybe don't get those. Some of the animals are far away, so you do want like a better sized one. I'll link the ones I got from Amazon below, but I got one that had like a phone adapter so that I can have the binoculars and then have the phone here so I can take pictures through the binocular, and that was amazing. And I got some really good pictures out of that. I'll post some on here, but everyone was like in awe of that, so I'm really glad I took that. So yeah, binoculars, some type of good camera if you're gonna take your phone, if you're gonna take a DSLR or like point and shoot, like just a camera that you can use to take pictures, because there will be so many animals that you want to take pictures of. So yeah, I recommend not taking that many pairs of shoes. I literally only wore my Birks and then my Adidas for the day that I had to wear closed-toed shoes. Only take a carry-on, soft-sided if possible. There were people on my trip that took hard shell cases, and one girl that took like a hard shell big check-in luggage and a hard shell carry-on, so I'm sure it was hard to pack in the Jeep. But the smaller your carry-on, the softer shell it is, the easier it is for your tour director to pack everything into the Jeep. Luckily our Jeeps are only 5 people, so there wasn't that much luggage to already stuff in, but there are other groups that I've seen that have like 6-7 people in a Jeep, so that luggage can add up. So the lighter you can pack, the better. For game drives, don't expect to see animals every second of the drive. There will be maybe stretches of hours where you will not see a single thing, and then there will be hours where you see every single thing that you want to see back to back to back to back. So it can be like hit or miss, but that's just the wild for you, and like you'll never know how it's gonna go. So just don't expect to see stuff every single minute of the day. Some of the stuff is really hard to see, like cheetahs. They blend in. We never saw a rhino. We saw a rhino's butt, like it was walking away, and then it went into a bush and then it never came out. So it's just like, you never know. You really never know. Cash, I really didn't spend much. I exchanged $300 into shillings and used exactly that in snacks and shopping. Like I said, the places where we got souvenirs was pricey, so yeah, just keep that in mind. That's pretty much all I can think of. But if you think about going to Kenya, let this be your sign to go, because it's amazing. Next up, I have Tokyo. I'm leaving next week, which is why I really wanted to film this video ASAP, because I don't want to get too far behind on my content. So I'm very excited for Tokyo, going with my brother. It's going to be our first trip together, like just us, so that'll be interesting, but we'll see how it goes. I'm flying in early to go to Disney, and I'm just like so stoked. Like, it doesn't feel real yet, but I am so beyond ready and so excited. So yeah, thank you guys for watching this video. I hope it helped. paint a better picture of EF Ultimate Breaks Kenya African Safari trip. And if you're thinking about going, if you're on the fence, if you're about to pull that trigger, do it. Do it right now. Do it, do it, do it, do it. Yeah, that's all. Thank you for watching. Bye, friends.